welcome to the next final chapter episode. This is the series where I want to continue all the series that I've started over the last probably 15 years and where I try to finish the series or DNF them if I don't enjoy them anymore. We are now at episode 10 and I left the last episode with 33 series that I want to continue. And we are starting this episode with 35 series. Let me explain that. There was one new release in the span between episodes, and this was the 5th book in the Boys of Tommen series, Taming 7 by Chloe Walsh. I'm reading this series in German, so I waited for the German release, which was now in June, and I already started reading it. But we will come later to that. But that adds one series back to the list and brings us to 34 series. And as I prepared my mid-year statistics video, I realized that I never put the Cosmere Universe on the list by Brandon Sanderson, so I needed to add that and did it, which is why we are now at 35 series. And in this episode we really need to get this number down to accomplish the goal by the end of the year to get the number down to 25. I have 10 series to go and a few publications coming up that will add some series in the next few months. So before I started filming this video, I scratched my reread of June from the list. I finished Crave by J.O. Ward. This is the second book in the Fallen Angels series and part of the whole Black Dagger world, which is why I'm doing a reread now, because I'm doing a Black Dagger universe read with a friend of mine, with Maren, and for June it was Crave. The whole premise of this series is a war, heaven against hell, and this should be now the final war between both sides. So they decided that they want to play 7 rounds, because 7 deadly sins, which means 7 souls must be saved or they are damned for hell. And Jim, our main character, is the only person that is allowed to influence the soul that they are playing about in this round. But he needs to figure out which soul is on the edge on his own. Both sides are only allowed to give him a few hints. And book 2 is now about Isaac Roth. Isaac is one of Jim's former colleagues from the X-Ops. The X-Ops are a secret part of the military that nobody knows about. And Jim is the only person that was allowed to leave the X-Ops. And Isaac tries to do the same now, but isn't officially allowed to leave. So Jim gets the order by his ex-boss to kill Isaac, and Jim tries to save Isaac's life, to get him back on the right path so the heaven side can win this fight about his soul. And we also have a romance in this book between Isaac and his lawyer. His lawyer is Greer. She is his public defender and tries to save him. But Matthias, the boss of Jim and Isaac, doesn't give up and wants Isaac to be dead, and also wants Jim to be dead, because he never let Jim go willingly. So it is a bit of chaos, but I really enjoyed reading the book. I enjoy the humor of the series, the dry and sarcastic kind of humor, which is on point. But as we know from the author, we have a lot of insta-lust, which is not my type. A lot of alpha male behavior and thoughts, which is also not my favorite. So all in all, it was an okay read. It was a reread. I already read the whole series a few years ago, but it makes total sense to read this now with the Black Dagger books and in the right reading order, because we have some influences between the series and I really like to get the full reading experience. So we will continue in July with book 3, but for now I will continue a different series, and that is the Into Darkness series by Navessa Allen. This is book 2, Caught Up. It is freshly out. It was published now in June. And I'm doing some tandem or immersive reading here because the audiobooks to this series are so good that I need to listen to them. So I do that while reading the print copy. The whole immersive reading helps me personally to be more focused and concentrated. So this is why I'm doing it. And I'm now halfway through the book and forced myself yesterday in the evening to put this book to the side to give you an update at the halfway point, because otherwise I would have probably read the whole book at this point and could have also just done one update that I finished the book, and I didn't want to do that. So I took a break just for you. Please appreciate that, because I really enjoy reading the story. I wasn't quite sure about the male main character when Navessa Allen announced which person book 2 is about, that this book is about Junior. He is the cousin of the female main character in Lights Out, and the vision I had from him by book 1 wasn't really flattering. In my mind he was super unattractive, a bit old, a bit of a dead butt, maybe not that much hair left. I don't know why. I don't know why I got this picture, because Junior is super sexy, super hot, and I really love him. He works in the mob, so for the mafia. His father is his boss and his whole family works in the mob. So he really had no choice by this, because if he would have had a choice, he never would have chosen this career, and he really finds to a solution to get out of the mob. But as you might expect, this is not that easy. But his goal is to get out of the mob and to get back with Lauren. This is a second chance romance between Julian and Lauren, because they know each other from their teenage years and they had quite a fling back then, but things went into chaos back then. Junior denied the whole relationship and Lauren is really heartbroken about this, which is understandable. And now, years later, she works now in the whole sex industry and is a big number on a website called Me4You, which is like OnlyFriends, I suppose. I don't have any experiences with that, so I can only guess, but it sounds quite similar. So she posts videos and pictures on there or texts, and she has a lot of followers there that can request private videos for money or something like that. and she really likes her job and also fights a lot for laws for sex workers, which I really appreciate that we have this serious topic in there. We also had this in book 1 with the female main character, I forgot her name, I'm sorry, working as ER nurse with trauma patients. And Navessa Allen also found now a serious topic that works for this story. So I really like the characters and their motivations. I like what they try to accomplish in life. I like the side characters, especially the roommates of Lauren. I like the premise and the plot of the book. And the most important part of this book, I really enjoyed the spice of the story. It is so good. I can only recommend this. And this is especially important because I really questioned myself before starting this book if I still like spies, because the last few books that I read with spies, especially the romantasy books, I didn't enjoy the spies. I would have preferred the stories as closed-door romances and really thought the spies wasn't necessary for the story. But here it is completely different. So it were the books, it was not me. And I can't wait to continue the story, which I will do right now. And I finished Caught Up and I really liked this book. The only thing I have to say before I talk about the story, you can't expect a second Lights Out. Junior is not Josh. Lauren is not Ellie. They are completely different characters, and because of that, the tone of this story is also completely different. There is not that much humor. You don't have to giggle a lot. It is much more serious and I really liked this. It is more like a light mafia romance, so not the dark and heavy mafia things that you know from other dark romances with mafia vibes. It is a bit more light in that, but it is definitely super spicy like the first book, and I really liked the spice here, especially the parts about velvet. If you know, you know. Navessa Allen writes really good spies, and she can write fantastic characters with a lot of depth and problems they need to figure out throughout the story. We have character development from both sides, and the thing I haven't talked about in my first update is that we also have queer characters in this book, which I really appreciate. I really like that we have representation here, that the female main character is queer and that one of her roommates is a non-binary person. I know there are a lot of people out there that don't like that, but I really appreciate that and think that it is a really good thing that we have this representation in books. No matter if in side characters or main characters. So I really liked the book, the story, the characters, the spice. I liked everything very much. Just the end was a little bit too short for me. So the whole negotiation with Junior's father could have been a little bit more in detail for me personally. But all in all, I really enjoyed this story, and now I'm super curious about book 3 because Navessa Allen already announced which male main character we will have in book 3, and I don't like him so far, so that will be interesting because he is already part of the series, but I won't tell you the name here in case you don't want to know. So you can figure it out on your own. Navassa Allen announced this on her TikTok account and probably also on her Instagram account. So you can look it up if you want. And I will now go and read the next book or continue the next book because I have already started Taming 7 by Chloe Walsh, book 5 in the Boys of Tommen series, and the probably first book about Claire and Gypsy. I know the next book is releasing 10, and with that it is already implied that this is about another couple, but so far Chloe Walsh always wrote 2 books about one couple, so maybe we get another book of Claire and Gypsy later. I don't know. But so far I expect a cliffhanger end here, and that the story is about to continue and that we don't have an happy end yet. So I can prepare myself for that. And I have already read the first half of Taming 7, so we can talk a little bit about it. And I can tell you that I'm a bit torn about Claire and Gypsy and the whole friend group in general so far. Especially Lizzie is a problem for me. I know that she's deeply traumatized, that she probably needs a lot of therapy and that she needs to figure out a few things, and that we only got glimpses and hints of what happened with her sister so far. But she really treats her friends like shit and is super toxic in her behavior, which I don't like at all. Especially Claire and Gypsy don't deserve that as far as I know. So we will see if this will change throughout the story and if I learn to understand her better, if I get more knowledge of what happened. But I really like Claire and Gypsy together. They are super cute, they are super in love with each other, but none of them acted on this in a physical way. So it is complicated because Gerard, or Gypsy, I will call him Gerard by now, because Gypsy is just his fun personality and he is so much more than this, and also deeply traumatized by losing his little sister, and he thinks it is his fault that she had to die. So there are also a lot of things he has to work through, and this is also the biggest problem of Gerard, because he feels so guilty and knows he's so fucked up because all of this. He thinks he is not good enough for Claire and will all fuck it up, and he doesn't want to risk this because he needs her. He doesn't want to risk losing her, which I completely understand. But after all these years, we are also at a point where Claire and Gypsy needs to figure out a way to live with the situation, and that especially Claire can't live with this anymore because she does want more from Gerard, and Gerard always tells her that he can't, but they never talk about why he cannot do this. So Gerard definitely needs to open up, needs to talk about his problems, to figure out some kind of solution with a therapist and with his friends. And a point that I also don't like about the story is that people are forced to do things by their friends. So a scene that I've read now close to the halfway point. Claire forced Gerard to do something, and of course he regretted after that. And because I knew this, I couldn't enjoy this scene at all. It felt super wrong, and I don't know what to think of this. So let's see how the second half of this story goes. I finished Taming 7 and my heart is broken so much. I've cried multiple times in the second half of the story. I already read a lot between the lines in the first half of the book, especially at the beginning, and already had the idea that this happened. I won't say what, because I don't want to spoil the story if you haven't read it yet. But I cried when it all came out, even if I knew this would happen or has happened in the past. And I'm still not over this. I'm still thinking about it and really hope we get a second book of this pairing, because we get a happy end in some way, but it is not 100% satisfying for me. And I think we need to get a lot more in depth with Gerard especially. And he needs to work out a lot of things that he says he is okay with and he's over that. But I don't think that is the case, and it will backfire at some point. So I really want to get more in depth with that in a potential second book. I don't know if Chloe Walsh confirmed anything about that. I'm not that deep into the fandom, but I know that the next book in the series, Releasing 10, is about another couple, and I completely understand why Chloe Walsh made this decision. And I already know that Releasing 10 will break my heart a million times, because I'm already devastated before I start the story. So I'm really intimidated by the next book in the story, but I will read it when it comes out in German, which will be in November, so I have to wait a little bit for it. And I need this break, so that is completely okay. So with this update, you can tell that I really loved the heartbreaking part. Love is probably not the right word, but I know that Chloe Walsh can write this devastating scenes and the whole emotional damage thing really perfect. And I love to feel emotions while I'm reading, and I'm doing that with these books. And also I like that these books contain some super serious topics that are not that much discussed in literature, and that we need to do that more, to learn about these things, to get aware that these things are happening, and that we learn about how it is to live through these devastating times. And Chloe Walsh does a really good job on that, which is why I love the series so much. But I also need to say that Taming 7 is not my favorite book of the series. As I said, I wish we get another book with this couple to get more in depth with healing. And we had a lot of teenage horniness and teenage drama in this book. The books before felt more adult because the other characters needed to grow up really fast. And so this is the first time we really get the full experience on teenage hormones. And maybe I'm a little bit too old for that, but all in all, I don't mind. I think this is great representation, and now I can't wait to read the next book. Okay, first clip with a new mic. I started Cold Case Academy, Book 3 by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. In English, this series is called the Natural Series, and this is all in. So we have now our third case to find a serial killer with these young people, with these teenagers that are naturals. So they have a specific talent that can help the FBI to get serial killers. And in book 3, we are now in Las Vegas to find a serial killer. We have certain people in the group that are on the edge and doesn't do well at this point. So there is a lot of tension in the group, a lot of emotional trauma that needs to be dealt with. And our female main character, Cassie, is one of the people that needs to deal with her emotions because there is the possibility that they found the corpse of her mother. But at this point, it is not 100% sure that this is the corpse of the mother. So that is a lot of emotions for Cassie. And Las Vegas is not the best place to deal with these emotions. And it is not the right time to deal with all of this because there is a serial killer that is killing people in Las Vegas right now. And they need to find them before he is doing it again. As always, we have also POVs of the serial killer here. And the chapters are all quite short. So I'm flying through these pages. I've read the first half of the book yesterday, and I need to show you the end paper of this book because they are stunning. This is the first picture, and we have another one in the back. That is this one. I really like these German special editions and these sprayed edges. And I will show you book 4 after that, because now I need to read the second half of book 3. And I will tell you more about it after I've read these 160 pages. It is the next day, and I finished Cold Case Academy 3, and I'm so glad that I have book 4 here, because I need to know more. Yes, this case is closed now, but there were so much plot twists to the end with Cassie's backstory and how all these cases we had are intertwining now, that I closed the book and knew immediately that book 4 will be my next read, and that I will start that immediately today. Jennifer Lynn Barnes does a great job here again and is hooking me. So I don't have much to say except of that to the end, because I don't want to spoil anything. So you need to live with that and my excitement to read book 4. This is called Bad Blood in English. This is the last book of the Natural series. And again, stunning sprayed edges. I love these editions. And also a beautiful sprayed edge. And I would say, let's see what brings book 4. And I am back with another update. I am halfway through Cold Case Academy 4, so Bad Blood. And it is, again, really intriguing to me. There is a lot of tension, a lot of action, a lot of emotions and trauma and drama, and I love this mix. So I can't wait to read the second half and finish the series with that. But before I do that, this book is about a serial killer sect. But this group is murdering for over 100 years now. Every 3 years, they are killing 9 people, and it is always a different person killing the 9 people. But there is a whole system behind this whole thing. And in Bad Blood, they now need to figure out what is going on, who is behind this serial killer group, who is part of it, so they can arrest them. And all of that has something to do with Cassie's mother and maybe with her. And that is the point that is most intriguing to me. And that brings me to fly through these pages. I love these whole group of naturals and how all their stories are now coming together to find their conclusion now. And I don't think I can tell you more about the story right now because I don't want to spoil anything for this book or the books before. So I think I will go reading now and we'll talk again after I finished the book. And I'm back. It is the next day and I finished Bad Blood. And I'm a little bit sad about it because this was the last book in the series and I can't read any more books of that. And I want more. Not because the story isn't finished, it is. And we had a lot of tension, a lot of action. We had plot twists. We had everything a good YA thriller needs. And I inhaled this book and the whole series, even if I've waited a long time between book 2 and 3. That was just because book 3 and 4 weren't out at this time, and then I had other projects in the making. But now I finished the series, and I'm happy that I still have 2 other books by Jennifer Lynn Barnes on my TBR that I can read at some point, but that's it for Cold Case Academy. As I said, I loved the series, I inhaled the series, and I can really recommend The Naturals. And now that we have finished another series and are now down to 33 again, I don't think I can finish another series in this video, but this video does not end here. I still want to read 2 more books that are both part of big serious projects. So we will see each other again when I have an update for Envy by J.O. Ward. Here we are with the last update of this vlog because I finished Envy by J.O. Ward, but I was not able to finish Heartless Sky, the 7th book in the Zodiac Academy series. I'm currently halfway through the book, and that was all I was able to read until I need to finish this vlog. I have 12 hours left of the Kindle version, and that was too much to finish. I didn't want to stress about it, and I will take my time with the story because I want to enjoy it. I don't want to finish it just for the sake of finishing it for a vlog. So you have to wait a little bit more until the next final chapter vlog for an update on that. And we can talk now about Envy. It is the third book in the Fallen Angels series by J.R. Ward. And as the whole series, this is a reread. And we have now the story of Thomas Delvecchio, aka Vec. He is the main character of book 3, and Sophia Riley, an officer for internal affairs at the police, is our female main character. Besides our characters we know from the other books, like Jim, he is of course also a main character, but after this reread I was disappointed in his role in this book because he didn't do much to rescue this soul and to make the win for Team Heaven. He was super focused on something else that is part of the main plot that I don't want to spoil. And there is a lot of moody behavior in Team Heaven, which makes this job easier for Team Hell, for Divina. But I really loved Vec and Sophia as a couple. I loved their romance. And I loved the things Vec has to fight with. Most of this is all in his head because his father is a serial killer, and Vec gets often judged by this and judges himself by this fact because he always fears that he is like his father and someday he will also go full psycho mode. So that is our main struggle. And I've already known Vec before going into this story because he's also part of the last Black Dagger Brotherhood book that I've read. I forgot the title, but the story before Tor. And I loved that we got glimpses of that also here in this story, that what happened in this Black Dagger Brotherhood book was picked up and built the base for this story. So I can't wait to continue now the Black Dagger universe buddy read with Marin, because the next book is again a Black Dagger book. It is Lava Reborn, the story of Thor, which is why I mentioned it. But this won't be part of this series, of the Final Chapter series, because the next Black Dagger Brotherhood books are on my 25 for 2025 list, so it is part of this series then. So stay tuned. All in all, Envy was okay to me, but I enjoy the reread, I enjoy the humor of the series and the whole dry sarcasm. I've said that before for book 1 and 2, and I can also say this for book 3. But that's all I wanted to tell you about Envy, which means we can now recap this episode of the final chapter. With Envy, I have read now 2 books of the Fallen Angel series in this vlog, the second book and the third book, which are both rereads, so they do nothing to my numbers. We started this episode with 33 books, added Taming 7, so the Boys of Torment series, back to the list because there was a new release in German, so 34. Then I needed to add the Cosmere Universe by Brandon Sanderson because I forgot that on the list, so we were back to 35. And then I started Dungeon Crawler Carl, a new series, so 36. Not the way this was supposed to go, so I worked on getting the number down again. I've read Caught Up by Navassa Allen, which means I am now up to date with the Into Darkness series by her. So one number down to 35. Then I've read Taming 7 right away. which means I am now up to date with the German releases of Boys of Tommen. So, again, one number down, we are back to 34. And then I've read book 3 and 4 of the Natural series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes and finished the series. So we are back to right where we started, to 33 series that I need to continue and finish. And hopefully, the next episode is more successful in getting this number down for real this time. We will see. Fingers are crossed. And please tell me in the comments how many series have you on your list that you need to continue and finish. I'm interested to know. Like this video if you wanna, follow my channel, and I will see you next time. Bye!